Smart Means Business, I'm Andrew Barrett, exactly 19 minutes past 9, and of course, heading into our business insight, or what we can call the insight, where we discuss what is happening all around the country, and the unique aspect is that we get people that are experts in different fields to come and analyze how they really see the matters that are happening all around. Of course, the major point in discussion at this particular time rather, is in line with the corruption, the massive corruption. Recently, just yesterday, the youth in Nigeria, are planning a protest, and of course, this is like coming out to be a widespread kind of movement. Still, of course, many of the political analysts on a global scale are trying to understand what is really inspiring these organizations. Could it be way beyond Kenya? Just who inspired the Kenyans to actually do this? So that is the big question right here. But of course, speaking about these matters, we cannot put out Uganda because we are seeing a similar experience. What happened yesterday, and of course, as yesterday on Twitter, it was all trending all along to see that the march to Parliament will be resuming today. But anyway, the security forces are doing whatever it takes to make sure that these strikes or the protests, the assembling, doesn't really cause too much havoc, especially in the running of the day-to-day business and traffic at the same time. Now, with me in studio to discuss these matters, I have David. He's the program's coordinator, Transparency International, Uganda. And I have Mexico. He is a political analyst and also the coordinator for PLU, and we're here to discuss these matters as we see. It's a pleasure to have you, David. It's a pleasure to have you, Mexico.
Thank you.
And we see what is happening in our country. Yesterday, the beauty here was so interesting. There are two things I saw: a perspective where the corrupt are being arrested with those that are fighting corruption, and those that were also arrested that are fighting corruption, they are trying to bribe again to get out of there. So that became so interesting. But anyway, I'll start with David. Okay, you wanted to say something?
No, the way you started, it's a bit funny, but that's the reality about corruption.
Exactly.
Mainly in Africa, that everyone is a potential victim. So you'll either at one point bribe or you'll be bribed. So then it comes back to your own integrity and conscience. What is it that you want at the end of the day? I think we've seen so many people that, like I said, that want to preach water but drink wine.
They drink wine.
And I think that's not how we want our country to move. We've seen several, I think, issues over, the past month. Actually, this year has had lots of stories, not only in Uganda, but even in our neighboring countries.
Yeah.
Especially insights into corruption. But our main reference is on our annual Corruption Perceptions Index report. The report showed that Uganda, of course, Uganda has been scoring poorly. We all agree. The best we have ever had in the last 12 years has been 29%. So that's a very small score. And in the past 2 years, we've been scoring a merely 26 out of 100. So, and this is public sector corruption. So what happens in the private sector, we can discuss it later, but for this purpose, we are looking at the corruption in government, corruption in health facilities, corruption in education, every government or anything related to public sector corruption. So that's how bad it is. But the Office of the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity actually have found that as much as for us we think our perception is at 26, the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity made a study, and for it revealed a perception of more than 76%.
More than 76?
Yes, those are Ugandans that actually believe that corruption is at that 76%. And the actual prevalence or the actual happening of corruption, according to that report, was at about 36%. So that means even the figures reported by the CPI are even much better than what the in-house reports show.
Sure, yeah.
But then coming to the actual value or the actual cost of corruption, we've had several reports, but I think we'll quote the cost of corruption report by the Inspector General of Government. That revealed that every year about 9.1 trillion to 20 trillion, between that is what we lose.
Let me ask. I remember that report was in 2021. Has it been up?
Yes.
Now I'm thinking, what could be the latest figures as of 2024?
Of course, now the dilemma is that the more the resource basket increases, the more the likelihood that more resources are being lost. But when you look at, when you compare with what we anticipate to collect every year, for example, this year we believe we can collect about 34 trillion with from both tax and non-tax revenue. So if you're collecting 34 trillion, but your in-house reports show that you're losing 9.1 trillion, that shows that you're mainly probably engaging a reverse gear when it comes to matters of governance and also economic development of a country.
Okay.
So we think if we don't come out proactively, of course, to condemn corruption, but also to condemn the corrupt, I think the practice will increase, because over the years we are seeing more growth in impunity. We are seeing more in the political shielding the corrupt. We are seeing more laxity in the investigative agencies when it comes to high-level persons within the political realm. And for us, we think we need to change the narrative.
Wow, very interesting. You mentioned something about condemning the political figures. Okay, it's kind of still, they are the largest involved in these cases. Now, this I'll come to Matiko. In line with that, what do you really think now? Like we saw, because the Constitution, I'm not quite sure of the article, kind of allows, gives us the powers as Ugandans in case of anything that is not right with it. We are allowed to express, our can I say unhappiness? I don't know if it's right, but our anger, towards that. But it seems like in Uganda here, the Constitution is like, I don't know, it's like how they say you have the Bible, but you never read the Bible, and you don't practice what the Bible tells you. What do you have to say about that?
Thank you so much, my brother Andrew. My name is Masco Jowett, political analyst, as well as a coordinator, Chira, for Patriotic League of Uganda. I am happy that my friend is here from Transparency International. I always read reports from Transparency International. They will be like social media. They post. They post. They bring the reports, but they don't do any action. That's a weakness of Transparency International, because in other organizations like the ICC, the International Criminal Court, they do research on you, a report, and then you are fished from wherever you are. So I think Transparency International, it's high time you also start the same way, punish those people who are corrupt using your power. My brother, I am in so many political forums, and every day we talk about corruption, and even we bring on table the corrupt people, not even by names, but both names and their faces. But my challenge is, as a political analyst, I talked of it some time back, that the punishments are very light. They are very weak. There is a constituency I visited in Western Uganda. We had something like a talk. We agreed that let's decampaign these people who are corrupt, right from the grassroots, from the constituency level. majorly, we shall not look at the higher posts for now, but these people come to these posts through MPship. When they are elected from their constituencies, they come, they go to parliamentary committees, they go to ministries, where you hear all those scandals. You may find most of them are MPs voted by their people to go and represent them. So the deal is, let's not vote people who have been victimized in corruption. That's one. Because these people, we have the power to push them and pull them back. But it is a collective effort that we all need to align in the same line with the campaign. These people who are corrupt, let us not them vote. I mean, let us not vote them again. Secondly, I wonder if President Museveni is still active as he was, because you see, military state or the government that came by military whatever coups, there is a way you handle things differently. You as a president, because you have all the power vested in you, why don't you take an extra mile to address corruption by actions? Because I told you last time that sometimes people are corrupt through the law. The law protects, the law, there is an extent, the law protects these corrupt people. Why? You see, the procedure of court is really fair. To my extent, I mean to my thinking, the procedure of court is really fair to these people who steal or embezzle government resources. Because, take an example, how many people do you think are suffering because of these few characters? Very many. Hospitals, roads, public transport, that one corrupts completely.
Medical
we
services.
don't have unaffordable public transport. All those things could be put right if these people are less corrupt. I don't think we can cap down corruption completely, because I was reading reports. Europe is the most corrupt continent, but compare their development with us.
Okay.
So I think we need to really work on these people who are corrupt by either letting them step down or do not vote them again in those parliamentary seats. Even when you're a minister. You see, what the youth were planning to do, me, I think it's the pain. It's the pain of the people. Yeah. It's the pain. I do not encourage demonstrations at whatever stage, but it's the pain. You know, you can pretend to be okay, but the pain inside with you, within you, remains. So I think it was an indicator that you saw what happened in Kenya. Yeah. There is nothing can stop it from happening here.
Even in this Bangladesh.
Yeah, Bangladesh. You saw it. So when you put an indicator, someone behind you must know that you are either taking a left turn or a right turn. Those people who drive. So you cannot put an indicator and you stay on the road going. Or you take an opposite direction. So you may be carried as someone who is drunk on the road. So it's an indicator. All this happening all over the world, they are indicators. So, but for us, we still have a chance.
Okay.
That we have enough security.
Okay.
Within the country. Within the country. So I am worried that at a certain extent or a certain level, some international security agencies and whatever who are watching may intervene when it is too much and put a hand to help these people uprise. So I call upon President Museveni. You have managed so many things. These people, you know them very well. Let them not antagonize with our peace. Let them not destroy our resources and go untouched. So, Mr. Andrew, I really ask the government to punish these people who are involved in corruption, and instead of being taken to court for proceedings, all that you are giving space and time for these people to think and move out of the what? Stove. So I think it's high time we work on them as the law states.
Interesting. Now, back to David. He mentioned something in line with action. And he feels like maybe Transparency International has been a bit lagging behind in terms of, we know the corrupt people, but why are we not taking action? What is hindering?
It stems from the mandate. Mainly, our mandate as NGOs is to provide evidence.
Okay.
So after the evidence, we don't prosecute.
Okay.
Actually, even when we support investigations in sometimes, it's up to the state agencies to take on that.
Okay.
Unless you want to engage in what we call a public interest litigation. So public interest litigation, that's when you take on a case fully to court, report the corrupt, and sometimes the office of the DPP or the IG may take interest and take over the case, but our mandate mainly stops at that. So there are times you'd wish to do more than what you're doing currently, but you can't go beyond. So our action is mainly in advocacy. What can we change here? How can we engage the state agencies? How can we try to probably maybe dialogue and ensure that there is expedition of some of the processes? But of course, at some point, we all agree that civil society is our mandate, stop at a certain level. So it's mainly now the task of the prosecuting agencies of government. And for corruption, of course, in Uganda, it's the IG or the IGG and the Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecution. Those are the ones that mainly prosecute corruption. So sometimes police may come in to support, of course, the CID, while Financial Intelligence Authority gives in the intelligence in some aspects where we think maybe money is being laundered left, right, and center. But of course, now from our side back to government, when it comes to action against corruption, I think most of the Ugandans feel, like I said, we've done a lot in prosecuting small level,
cases,
corruption cases.
Yeah.
And I think because in these cases, technical aspects are a bit less, it's easy to trace the loss of the monies. And of course, even the drivers to some of these cases are easy to handle, because some of these guys are driven by either a lack, maybe the salaries are less, something like that. So they try to beef up on their lifestyle, and of course you can see that they are, soliciting some of this money here and there. But when it comes to the high-level corruption, there's still lots and lots of challenges. It's highly connected. For example, in most of the cases that have been in the public realm, we can point out names of high-level officers, but tracing any links of corruption to them becomes a problem. Why? Because they either use their syndicates, or they use their proxies, or even when it comes to investing, still they use their proxies. So someone will make a request of funds, but he won't sign anywhere. So an investigator finds it very hard to investigate this person and even get evidence that they can act upon to prosecute these individuals. So most of the cases you've been seeing in the public realm, we want this minister arrested, we want this person arrested, the evidence on paper may not support that. And I think that's where most of, my fellow Ugandans have a problem. that we know, of course, corruption is there, but we are not seeing the action. Would want to see big names being, of course, put off at the main list, so that it gives us that that belief and trust in the systems that we are doing something. But for us, going forward, we believe, like he said, the indicators will be there, but when you silence voices of people, and if people always have these routine demands, but you silence them, it's more like a balloon. The more you keep on pumping it with air, that's how people's anger acts. At some point, this balloon will explode, and it will explode with a lot of noise. So the things you see in Kenya, of course, Kenya's economy has been doing badly. You remember you had the Maandamano last year and the other year when guys were, you know, striking over the poor economy. Then you come into 2024, you haven't improved on the situation, but you want to increase the taxes without addressing the previous challenges. So that boiling anger is why you're seeing Kenyans coming to the streets. By the time a human being starts smoking a tear gas canister, trust me, it's very bad.
Very bad.
So for the Ugandan case, what happens is that I think there have been certain moves by government to silence formal civil society engagements. You know, I think we saw some of the donors being suspended and things like that. So when you silence the formal engagements, you provide room to informality. But you can't control informality. When guys want to go on the street and, you know, demonstrate, you can't control the results of a demonstration.
Absolutely.
And for us, our call to government is you need to reorganize civil, you know, civil engagements, so that we have that orderly dialogue between us and the state agencies, so that if there is a problem, even our opinions then get to be respected. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we shall continue opening other Pandora boxes, and we wouldn't want to get into situations that, you know, may compromise both government and the citizens, because we all get affected in equal measure. And you are asking about, of course, the Constitution gives everyone a right to assemble. It's actually the freedom of assembly. However, I think certain situations may guarantee you the freedom of assembly, certain situations may not, but that's entirely up to the citizens to take the directions they want, if they think it will give them the results that they would want to achieve.
It actually justifies the use of arms.
Yeah, arms, of course.
Putting the constitution right.
Yes.
Now, Matsiko, our president has actually, for the times he's been here, we first saw an incident of age limit. And now we saw term, then age, I think. What came first? Was it term? Removal of term limits. Term limits. Then age limit.
Yeah.
And that was in the constitution. And this is the very person that is fighting corruption. What aren't we getting here? What does that mean?
You see, biologically and naturally, it is very possible to treat me, but it's sometimes very hard to treat yourself. I think the biomedics
Oh my goodness.
know about that.
Okay.
I am sure that it is very true.
Okay.
It's very hard to treat yourself, and we believe that is nature. So Museveni, President Museveni, true, maybe he was interested in removing age limit and term limits because of his personal interests, because he fought for them, I think. I am not supporting. Someone over there could be thinking that I support corruption. I really, really condemn corruption, but what we need to do is, after condemning, what do we do? We need to take a very urgent action on it. So, President Museveni took all those to keep himself maybe ruling for some time until he sees a potential leader like him, because people were becoming already greedy minus working. So if you want to eat before you work, then it means you're lazy. So he was providing room for us to work hard as we are doing, as the opposition is putting up this, putting up the other, so that they can come up with a collective effort and take over. But I am just talking about this because President Museveni I think he's soon retiring. That's what I think. That's my thinking. Because he's a human. He's a human. He's retiring soon. So when he's taking up all these measures to curb down corruption, he needs ample time to work on this, because corruption has been there even when he was not yet a president. Sure. Corruption has been there. But as he was saying, if the basket increases of resources, it means the corruption will also what? Increase. So there are so many things to steal now than before. You know that. Last time, he talked about the corrupt members in some organizations and even organizations themselves, like the Umeme. Umeme is, I don't understand Umeme. Umeme, electricity is very expensive. No one knows how much a unit is.
1,000.
You pay this, but you get this. Next time you pay this, you get that. So there is no consistency in, because if I'm paying the same money, always, why am I getting different units all the time? So it means it is magical. It's a magic way of defrauding Ugandans. If you put a real price for a commodity, I should buy that commodity at that stated price, always, again and again. You see the water bills, the same story. So these people discovered the weaknesses of our systems as government. Government, the IGG and the other organizations that investigate the public resources and the way how they are used. I think there is still a weak system of investigating and coming out with real reports. You see, there is a way how these auditors do. The auditor generals, a racket. It's a racket. It's a racket. They come and audit fake and present fake reports. So this is the weak system I'm talking about.
Hold on a little bit. But I think the recent Auditor General really put out something, right? A report that actually, because I'm told it's not even right now, the Auditor General, it was so real.
Yeah, it can be real, but I said it's a racket.
Okay.
They're working in a clique. So sometimes it is not right to always put out wrong things. Okay. After some time, you bring something right, then you again go astray. So
consistency.
The systems we are having in Uganda do not track exactly what is being spent. Rather, they track what they have been given to present. Okay. You see, in Europe, I will just, I'll be referring to Europe because a system is a system. Take an example. Here, there are money lenders. There are money lenders, there are commercial banks, there are SACCOs, there are lots, microfinances, all those provide same services. But did you know that those people have different interests? Depending on what the government gives, the regulatory board, all of them are regulated. But the regulatory board puts at a certain interest, CBR. But when you go there to seek for service, to seek for a loan, you find they are completely different. And yet all of them are at the level of microfinance. The regulation of microfinance is the same, but when you go to different microfinances, they have completely different rates of interest. So, do they know? This is the question. Do they know or they don't know?
Okay.
The regulatory board, does it know, or is it aware, or it does not?
You know,
and this has been there for so long. And so on in different government institutions regulated by government. So, if we are fighting this visible corruption, but there is that one which is invisible, and that one which is invisible is more dangerous, like worms in your stomach. They eat you when you are alive. So, it's high time, as we are looking at visible corruption, we also investigate systematically the invisible corruption. So, Mr. Andrew, I want to let you know that corruption, if there is no any technicality of handling things in a tougher way, corruption is still here, and we are still living with it, and it is increasing, and it will increase even, and it will exceed our capacity.
Oh, amazing. I think what he has just mentioned, now I'll bring back to David in line with that.
Yes.
I remember actually, I think last week, former finance minister in Mozambique was prosecuted in the USA. And there was the Mozambicans were saying it's better it's done from that side, because when it comes back to Mozambique, it will be treated with leniency. Well, interesting.
No, there have been, in the international community, of course, we have certain rules and, of course, practices that would have been maybe best practices of standard procedures that probably we are supposed to either adhere to or that guide us. Otherwise, we would be in a state of anarchy and confusion. But those rules guide. For example, sorry.
Okay. As we are still, of course, breaking down these matters in line with corruption, what are the measures that are being put in place, and how can we combat this?
I was giving you an example that we have sanctions. That's one of the most effective mechanisms. We have sanction mechanisms that a given country can direct sanctions towards either a state or individuals within a given state. And I think we've seen sanctions against so many countries. Currently, I think, if I'm not mistaken, some ministers within Uganda were sanctioned by UK and US. So the other one, of course, we have the ICJ, the International Criminal Court. And so what happens is these are supposed to guide that if your country can't take on certain cases, if it can't hold certain individuals accountable, then these institutions take over. However, some African states are saying we can take over our matters because we are in a pre-colonial era, but would want to be fully independent. So guys are like, if our leader is not doing so well, can we have a chance, to sort that matter? Yes, because I think in some cases there have been challenges with repatriations. Of course, we saw in, I think there was a case in Nigeria where a case took over some period of time before funds were finally repatriated, but it takes a lengthy period. And yet when it comes to prosecuting corruption and, of course, all those related procedures, you'd want to recover your assets. Absolutely. So if someone stole $1 billion shillings from Uganda and invested it somewhere in US, if those accounts are frozen in US, you don't want the government of the US to benefit. You want the money to come back to Uganda. So that's the entire discussion about, state sovereignty. Let's vis-a-vis, of course, the narrative of prosecuting abroad, it's driven by the citizens, because for us we believe that if we do in-house procedures, of course some individuals will be let off the hook. and yet that's not what we want. We want everyone at least to feel the pinch of the results of their actions. So I think that's what has been happening. We've been seeing so many examples in that case. But back to Uganda, for us, we think one of the issues he pointed to was the systems. We'd want to see the systems working for the good of the country. So that if I want to see Andrew at this TV, I don't need to go through an askari, then a cleaner. Exactly. I just come to an office, I declare my case, and of course I have my issues addressed. Because every time you have a collapse in systems. Everything then collapses. And what happens after, you'll become a micromanager, that you have to spot over each and everything. And of course, it's only one living that is omnipotent, and that is God. God is the only, living that can be everywhere. Otherwise, human beings, we don't have that ability to know what's happening in URA, what's happening in Umeme, what's happening in national water. We don't have that ability. So what you'd want to do as a country, one, you'd want to put in place the systems that then will eliminate, those financial hemorrhages that you face. But also, when we speak of the laws, we would want to see deterrent laws. But also the convictions should also be deterrent, that if someone is corrupt, one, if you're serving your 10 years, let the 10 years be there. But also want our assets back. But also the other related processes. We don't want to see this protectionism that is happening. Currently, there is a leeway or a window of opportunity that the corrupt use. That if they believe that, David, I'm corrupt, and the IG knocks on my door, I have an opportunity to go for plea bargain or to go for non-court settlements or negotiations. So under that, they'll say, okay, you stole 1 billion, can you return that? Yes. And that's the end of the matter. But for us, we think that should never be the case. One, if I'm corrupt, the first thing is, even if it's plea bargain, let me recover the money. Then what happens next? I must step aside from public office for the given number of years, never to surface again. But also there should be red flags, because in the Western world, of course, they'll sanction you. You'll have the travel restrictions, consumption behavior, you have limitations on how you access finances, even in banks, so that someone feels completely uncomfortable. But also we have this issue of the community, glorifying the corrupt, our person. Someone is corrupt, and there is evidence that this person has stolen money. You get it? But then you take pride in saying, the person is stealing but bringing to us. But in Uganda we have free movement. It's not like a feudal or a federal state that Andrew must live in Kampala and you'll always be in Kampala. So what happens is that today someone will steal and provide good medical facilities in Kampala and good roads. But then you find yourself working in Gulu, where the money that constructed Kampala was supposed to benefit. Yes. So you reach Gulu and you don't have these medical facilities and the roads are good. So then will you wait now for the member of parliament of Gulu to also steal and invest in Gulu so that Gulu benefits? You see, so the more we push this, I'll call it a stupid narrative, that someone is stealing but bringing to us. We are in it's more of a global village now. There's free movement. Today you're in Gulu, next time you'll find yourself in Bali. So the community needs to wake up and realize that the resources are for, in the matter of national interest, not a given region. So that then if it's to demand for accountability, if my leader is corrupt, we understand that he's stealing Ugandan resources, not resources of Kampala alone. I think that will push us far. But also, as I end, there's a statement that says that the quality of a country is good as the quality of its citizens. So if, and that's why they call it garbage in, garbage out, if we always vote the leaders that are not good enough, the reflection of those leaders is us, the voters. So if I have a drunk LC1 representative, of course I'm responsible for voting that wrong person. So every action that that person takes, I'm equally accountable. So then my mandate is, I need to do the change. And how do I do that change? Through getting the representatives that match the quality of representation that I want. I'm speaking this because we are now transitioning into a very busy, political season. And of course, last time we saw people were saying, when you see this, just tick. When you see this, but in the end, you look for that quality of representation, and it's not there. In Parliament, the members of Parliament were looking for about 70, were they 77 or 79, signatures to endorse essential motion against corruption. This has been on for more than 3 months. But up to now, you get it, we haven't got those number of signatures, you get it. So that's how bad it is. But we think things can change. And there are certain laws we would continue to advocate for. For example, witness protection. That if, Andrew, today you whistle blow, that there is corruption in this institution, you don't get victimized. And of course, that speaks to the scenarios where the people reporting corruption end up in prison. And of course, you meet with the same people that you've been reporting. And for us, we think that is a very uncomfortable situation.
Interesting. Of course, it's exactly 10 a.m. Time is not really our best friend. Maybe the best I can do for now is I need to hear some last remarks to the people. I'll start with Masiko.
Thank you so much. I will not say much, but I need to remind people, and especially citizens of Uganda, elections are knocking next year and the following year. Make sure you vote people of quality. People who will not give you small money on that, a small portion they have stolen from you, and they give you back something, a peanut, and you suffer for the next 5 years. Don't vote people who have been in scandals of corruption. That's what I can say. Otherwise, I wish Ugandans.
But hold on, how do they know? Some people.
They don't know.
They don't, because now, it's.
For example, I'll give you this as he was ending. Who people came in to censure these people?
Okay.
How many? There are few. So, which means if you don't come and show to the public that you disagree with the corrupt people, it means you're part of the corrupt people. And therefore, I want to urge Ugandans, let's stop this tendency of receiving peanuts from politicians. They come on ground for 6 or 3 months, they distribute a few liquid cash, and then you're brainwashed, and you end up voting people who are bringing this country to grass. Thank you.
David, your last remarks?
I think I had said my last remarks, but just for re-emphasis, I think we need to, as Ugandans, of course, we need to step up. We need to have our voice amplified. Of course, we need to stick to the fact that we want to see a corrupt-free society. We may not be entirely clean, but we need to sanitize our way of how our resources are being managed. And of course, that's through the quality of representation that we have, but also we need to report. We need to continue reporting corruption. If you see something, at least say something. We have reporting channels at Transparency International Uganda. If you visit our websites, State House and Corruption Unit currently it's doing a lot. We are in Tinda, plot 190, Matters Way. So, and we have open door policies, of course. So if these cases are happening, please don't just see corruption and be quiet, and don't condone corruption, because in the end it affects us all.
Interesting, and that is it from the experts. I cannot add anything after that discussion. Exactly 2 minutes past 10. Thanks for being part of today's edition of Smart Minds Business. I've been Andrew Barige with my guests this morning, Matsiko, PLE Coordinator Dura, and David, Transparency International Programs Coordinator. Till tomorrow, good morning.
Smart 24, driving business.
This is Jordan. When it comes to classwork, Jordan is magic. Jordan shines. Jordan makes his peers better. Jordan is a true leader. White Star Magic family. Be a leader. Be magic.
Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome to the Trading Bell Show. As you can see, we're right here at KPC, Kenya Pipeline Company. I'll be having a conversation with Joe Sang, the Chief Executive, who is really running this corporation, and they are profitable. Mr. Sang holds an MBA in strategy, a Bachelor of Arts in Economics, and a CPA. With over 20 years of hands-on experience, he has held senior managerial positions in various organizations, including parastatals and multinational corporations. His previous roles include General Manager Finance and Strategy at KPC, Head of Group Business Performance and Planning at East Africa Breweries Limited, Finance Director at East Africa Maltings Limited, Management Consultant at Unga Group, and Financial Accountant at National Oil Corporation of Kenya. As Managing Director of Kenya Pipeline Company, Mr. Sang oversees pipeline operations, strategic planning, stakeholder management, and ensures compliance with regulatory standards. His diverse experience in finance, management, and strategic planning equips him to lead KPC as Africa's premier oil and gas company. Joe Sang, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Good.
And thank you for having us here. And this being the first inaugural conversation on the Trading Bell Show, I would like our viewers to really not just make an assumption by asking you, KPC, we talk a lot about it.